What's going on, guys? T2RX6 here, back for another Ghostbusters review, and yeah, we're gonna do another Ghostbusters review next week because they're a lot easier than doing a Transformers review, and with Thanksgiving right around the corner, I'm all for doing some things that are a little bit easier to deal with the hecticness of Thanksgiving. Anyway, don't worry, we'll be going back to Transformers soon. I mean, outside of Fans Toys Coot, I don't really have much new to show you anyway, so yeah, Ghostbusters, because that's kind of what I'm into. Oh, and right away we show the ugly faults of this set. Yeah, so this is the Diamond Select Ghostbusters. Yeah, you can get them on BBTS for, I think, like 20 bucks a pop. I bought these guys secondhand, so I'm pretty sure I have all the accessories. Well, let me rephrase that. I think I have most of the accessories. I only got 2 stands, so I'm not sure if only 2 of them came with stands, or if the person I bought them from offline didn't have the stands for 2 of them. I don't know. And we got Slimer here, and I don't know who he came with or where, but I know he's part of this Diamond Select lines. So anyway, this is the Ghostbusters, and they're much better than those Five Below ones, but we'll get to talking about the Ghostbusters shortly. Let's go and look at accessories. So where accessories are concerned, most of the Ghostbusters have the same accessories. Every single one of them has this walkie-talkie, which just slides into the holster here. So that's real nice. Everybody has that. They all come with a couple different hands, both gloved and ungloved, and a couple extra things. For instance, Egon comes with the PKE meter that's always open. It would have been nice if this was closed and if he had some kind of extra molding to put it on his person somehow, but he doesn't. So you have this, and this is made of just like a really loose rubbery material. That said, don't mess with this very much, because one thing I've learned about this set, everything breaks really easy. Let's get on to that. Here is the proton streams. Every single one has one of these. Now, when I bought this set, I knew one of them was broken, and I figured I could glue it back together. This has been just kind of wrapped up in its baggie very carefully, and I took it downstairs tonight to shoot this review, and this one snapped, because in Diamond Select's infinite wisdom, they decided to put this really tiny bit of plastic connecting this. I mean, it's barely connected at all. That's like maybe like a millimeter, half a millimeter across. Like, that is stupid. Like, what you should have done is just made this thing like hollowed out more and just kind of slid a plastic cup over top of it. So what this is intended to do is, when you have the neutrino wand here, you can see we have a slot here, and this would slide in here, and then you've got the, you know, particle throwing effect, I guess. But yeah, it's so easily broken. In fact, I think with these little lightning bolts here, now okay, this is a loose rubber, so I thought that this was ready to break on me on picking it up. But yeah, you almost can't use these because, well, since they can't really stand, chances are if you have them on and they fall over, that's as good as broken. And so this is the second Ghostbuster that has a broken one of these. And this is Egon's accessories. I think it was Peter had a broken one, and Ray actually had one of the mushroom pegs on his hand rip off, apparently, when the previous owner pulled it out, because it's just very soft plastic, and yeah, it couldn't do it. Why you would want anything else besides the gloved hands, I don't know. I mean, I could see it, but I'm just not going to be putting these things in and out. Anyway, you got a second pair of cuffs, which is weird, because they all have the cuffs on them with their gloved hands, so I don't know why everybody got 2 sets of the cuffs. I guess maybe in case you lost one. You do have like the gripping holding hand, and then kind of like the, you know, holding the barrel of the neutrino wand in your hand. So pretty much every single Ghostbuster has the opposite of this, where they have the grip in the one hand and the holding the barrel as the other hand. So you'll see that along the way. And you pretty much recreate that in the bare hands, except this one, I don't know what's going in there. Like, there is no accessory that is small enough to fit. This is like Egon's punching hand, I guess. I'm not really sure. But everybody has that, including Winston. Everybody has those accessories in appropriate skin tones. They're all the same skin tone except Winston, obviously. Winston comes with the trap here, which does have this tiny little plastic tube that I dare not really do anything with. We'll get to that after. So it's not a good prop to be on the ground. I think it's a wire. Okay, we're gonna take a chance. Yeah, it's a wire, so you can put it on the ground like that if you want. This is just a solid cast piece of plastic with a nice paint job, in fairness. It does look good for a trap. The handle seems a little flimsy and not on there very well. And then here's the pedal. It looks fine. It serves its purpose. I wish you could detach this stuff and just hang the trap. The trap has a little like trapezoidal. Is that trapezoid? I don't remember. But it just pegs in just like that on Winston. And since this is a wire, we can kind of curl it on up and hope that it never breaks on us. Because, like I said, this is a super breakable set. But there we go. Peg it in. Looks great on Winston. Yeah. So I think that covers all the accessories, with the exception of Ray, who does have, his goggles here, which have a very loose rubbery strap. The problem is you can see that the way it's been painted, it pretty much messes up Ray's hair by losing paint. So you kind of have to put it down like this and bring it up, and then if you want him to not have the goggles over his face, that's where it kind of gets a little complicated. I mean, everything kind of stretches around here, but you kind of have to bring it in position and then try to get the straps to sit down, and then he looks a little bit goofy because the strap is hanging up over his head. I don't know. It's okay. It's okay. At least he has it. And like I said, there is stands that came with at least 2 of them. And just like your typical like G.I. Joe, they peg into the foot, and then they just sit there. But the problem is, the Ghostbusters don't really have very good joints and stuff, and they tend to lean a certain way, even with the stand. So they'll just fall over. They'll just fall over all the time. And I don't like it. It's not a good stand. It doesn't peg into this well enough. And since I only have 2 of them, it's pretty worthless. And you can see, like, I don't know if it's just that the stand is not really made good enough. Like, it's just a little oval here. But unlike G.I. Joe's, the weight of these things just take the stand with them. So it's poor. It's really bad. Let's talk about Slimer now. So Slimer comes with this clear stand. He comes with these extension pieces, and there's one more that's maybe about this big that you can put in wherever you want. This is worthless. I don't know. I'm assuming whoever designed the toys didn't go to school for engineering, because this is about all you can do with that stand. If you want to, well, first off, it doesn't peg into Slimer very well. But if you want to do like anything, like the arm can't hold Slimer, I've gone ahead and tightened these up. It flat out can't. None of this stuff is created in any way that's any good to holding Slimer. In the event that you can get this arm to stick there, like let's just say this is going to stick, let's hope, we'll cross our fingers, here we go. No, the stand can't even support Slimer because nobody stopped to realize that the way that this is going to put a torque on the base, basically, there's nothing that this stand can do to support Slimer. So Slimer is awesome, but his stand is terrible, so you can't do anything with it. It's just dumb. Let's talk about Slimer, though. Slimer, awesome. Totally looks like Slimer from the movie. Maybe a little bit too bright green. This is kind of like cartoon Slimer in the overall look, but whatever. It's Slimer, complete with a nice sculpted in butt crack. Slimer needs his butt crack. I'm not knocking the butt crack. Slimer really does need his butt crack. I'm wondering if, since Peter didn't come with any extra accessories, if Slimer came with him. Oh, here's that other piece there. So you can, like I said, it's kind of, I think it's designed to be like the point that comes out of the display stage to hold Slimer, but since it doesn't work and the base is too small, you can't use it. So Slimer also comes with a couple accessories. He has another face that, I mean, like outside it's got a slightly different facial expression, but it just kind of looks like Slimer. My favorite one though is the face crammed full of hot dogs face. because that's a very memorable image from the movies. So you have that. Articulation on Slimer, pretty simplistic. Most of it's going to come from the display stand, so that means none of it on the back there. The shoulders are on like a hinge joint here, but they do get a full 360 swivel. Coming to the arms, you got a hinge here, but again, 360 swivel. And the wrist has a swivel and a hinge joint here. So it's pretty good articulation, all things considered. You can definitely get Slimer, you know, going after some Ghostbusters or maybe some more hot dogs or whatever else you have going on. Slimer is good, his stand is not. So the Ghostbusters, they're a big improvement over these Five Below ones, which are $5. Oddly enough, I think the Five Below ones at regular retail at Ready Face, it just gets me every time. Oh man, excuse me. The Five Below ones at their full retail price, I think are about the same as these ones, which is pretty ridiculous. Now, one thing you may have noticed in this review, I don't know if you've noticed or not, there's a sticker on my hand. I am not sure which Ghostbuster lost their sticker. I figure we'll figure it out as we're going. I think it's either Winston or Egon here. But yeah, they've got stickers for various things, which it's a weird decision because you got tampos on here, and then you got these stickers that are just, at least on mine, maybe yours will vary, maybe the person I got this from stored them in a really hot environment or something, but most of these stickers will end up moving around on you, and they're not really cut right for where they're supposed to go. I mean, like, that's the appropriate stickers here, but they're way too big for the circle. So that kind of moves around. I know Egon had, yeah, like, the one on the rail here slid off. I think there was a couple other ones that have come off. Yeah, here's one right here that I'm not entirely sure who or where it came from. It's just, this is bad. At least the head sculpts are pretty solid though. Like, it's not a perfect Dan Aykroyd, but I mean, that's Dan Aykroyd. That's way better than this thing. So you definitely get the character, and honestly, like in the '84 movie, Dan Aykroyd was looking pretty young. So this is fine. I'll also point out that each one of the Ghostbusters does have unique sculpting in the top parts, or in their whole suit. Ray actually is a little heavier set than them, so that's nice. You can see they all have like different necks and stuff like that. So each one does have uniqueness going on here. The Proton Pack, again, let's get this out of here. Gotta kind of slide that out there. This is where I have big problems with this too. Let me count what's broken. Besides the fact that the wrist is broken, besides those proton streams that are broken, on, I believe, Peter, let's check. Yep, Peter here has had the hose to the proton pack break out. So I've had to actually go ahead and drill a little hole in it and stick a pin in there and cut it down in size and glue it in place because it just broke right off of here. I think Egon has had this hose just snap right off because it's just a completely hard piece of hose, and it's very weakly super glued into the top here and the side here, so that came right off. And I think that's it for now, but I'm sure more is coming. The proton pack is all just made out of rubber. It's painted okay. If I'm honest with you, I think the wires on the cheap ones are better because they're like sculpted. These ones just have a paint applied to them, but there's absolutely no texture to it. So this one actually wins a point there. You do have the ion bar up here, no ion bar on this one. So here's another thing that the Five Below ones win on. When you got the neutrino wand here, it pegs into here. Because they were smart enough to realize you can't make like the accurate clip system and make it work. Well, Diamond Select didn't quite realize that, so they put the little V-hook in here. And then they've gone ahead and on the neutrino wand, sculpted in a little V-hook detail. Does not work on any single one of them. If you try to slide it on there, it might stay for a little bit, but ultimately the wiring in the hose here is going to ultimately make that just slide right back off. You'll end up finding your Ghostbuster basically sitting on a shelf like this. So what I ended up doing actually While I had it off, I took a pin vise and I drilled a little tiny hole that could accommodate a paper clip, and then I drilled a hole into the wand so I could put it up just like this. And it is tough to do, but it's the only way you're going to get this thing today. Every single one of them has that, and it fails on every single one of them. That thing is not a proper like slot and channel like the actual V-hook, so it's not going to stay on there. Like I said, everything here is rubber. I do like that we do have like the Alice frame sculpted here. I guess it's on here, but it's kind of less noticeable. This actually looks proper. Coming down to the hips, we got some paint on the little... I have no idea what this is. If someone knows what this is from Ghostbusters, let me know. I've never known what that one is. We do have a spot for the trap on Ray. Winston's the only one who has it on the left. Everybody else has it on the right. Just noticed that. So that's cool. There is some minor differences on these guys. Articulation, the head is on a ball joint here. You do have a diaphragm joint up here, which gives you rotation and a little up and down. Coming down to the gut, that does move a little bit too. Hard to kind of showcase it, but... oh no, you know what? I apologize. I thought the gut was moving. It was the belt moving on me. He has a waist joint that's super stiff, and that's one of the problems with these guys, is that they're all super stiff. Shoulders, you got that hinge joint here, and you can get the 360. The elbow has the hinge joint here, and you can see some pretty massive paint rub here, just based on how it's molded all in black. The arm pads will rotate out of the way, coming down to the wrist, and you saw it's on a mushroom peg with the swivel here. So you get okay articulation. I will say that the way it's sculpted, things do end up feeling at least a little bit limited here, and I even find it kind of hard to making them look like they're actually, you know, aiming the neutrino wand in any meaningful way. Because you can't get the arm too far across the body, and then like this one is limited. One thing I really wanted to do on the shelf, I wanted to have all these guys on the shelf with the neutrino wands in hand, with the exception of Peter, who I wanted to have with this thing attached. I wanted to have him having his arm behind his shoulder here like he was grabbing it, but you can't articulate the arm enough to make that happen. Oh, uh-oh. Do you see what I see? We're gonna get another breakdown here because they're so well made. So coming down to the bottom of the figure, you got the hip articulation. Forward is fine. Backward is a little limited by their butts. Yeah, some are more limited than others. You do have the rotation on the thigh up here. You have a double jointed knee, which it works. It's not necessarily the prettiest thing to view, but I mean like that, it's not terrible. Coming down to the leg down here, you do have a swivel on the boot up and down, and then you have like, I guess it's how, it's kind of like an ankle tilt, but it's kind of, I think it's just how this thing is pegged in here. I don't think Peter has it. Peter has the pant legs that go over the boot here. So he just kind of gets a full 360 out of his foot. It's not really a tilt. I guess you can tilt it a little. So yeah, I guess it's there. We'll give it to him. And the forward and back on the foot. So one of the problems that these guys have is when they sculpted them, they sculpted the shoe like accurate to a real person's shoe, which is not the best thing to do for an action figure, because what it ends up doing is not creating any kind of solid surface that you can sit these guys on. Like, there's no support in the front and there's no support in the back, so they're just kind of rocking around all the time. Like, by contrast, these ones are cheap, but at least the feet are flat, so they're gonna stand there. You know, it's a bad concession to be making. So let's compare the cheap Ghostbusters to the slightly more, well, the now cheap Ghostbusters to the Diamond Select versions. So here's Ernie Hudson. Surprisingly, I actually think the cheap one captures his likeness better. And whoever had him before me, I think, tried to put the ghost goggles on Winston. And so now he's got a terrible looking skin disease. So next up we'll do Ray, and as you can see, just no contest for Ray stance here. Just way better on the Diamond Select. Definitely more Dan Aykroyd than whatever this thing is trying to be. My personal favorite Ghostbuster will go with Egon here. You swapped out this like very heroic face in the like tan for like a more appropriate Egon complexion. I still think that the glasses are just too thick, but I guess that's the fault of it being a toy. You just can only do so much. But definitely a much better Egon here than the cheap one. And finally, most people's favorite, we got Peter. And, you know, I don't know. After looking at this one next to this one, I think this kind of looks more like the animated series Peter than it does Bill Murray. But it's still not bad. This one does look like Bill Murray, but he's got these oddly, like, blank, vacant stare. So it just kind of looks like Peter Venkman has spaced out. So honestly, when it comes down to it, these guys are much better than your Five Below ones. But, I mean, if you just want 4 Ghostbusters on the shelf and you're not quite bothered by the squished head and the exact likeness, I would say go with the cheap ones. These ones are just, they have too many issues. They certainly have better accessories and stuff, but like those accessories are slowly breaking. It's really hard to say that these are worth the money. Like I said, I got them second hand, and I think I paid about half of what their going rate is, and I feel happy with that. But if I had paid full price for every single one of these, I would be really disappointed in them, and I'm still a little bit disappointed in them. I don't think these are staying around in my collection forever. They're a good stand-in for now, but something down the road is probably going to replace them. So this is T2RX6. I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I'll see you next time.